Actually, my heart's kind of pitter-pattering. Just sitting here with these memories and looking around. It's kind of making the hair stand up on the back of my neck, and I feel like I might puke.
Yeah.
Like, this is what they did to us. This is what they did to our community. And it all started right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last time I was in East Palestine, things were pretty different.
Look at those flames. Look at that shit.
The town is under a state of emergency after 50 train cars derailed, causing a massive fire a half-mile long, which lit up the night sky and burned for hours.
I'm from this county. I went to their high school dances, barbecues, and I was there a few weeks after the derailment to document the unfolding man-made disaster.
Do I have to wait until I have cancer before you guys are going to do anything?
Why the fuck would you let Norfolk do that? Like, why would you let them clean up their own mess?
2 years later, East Palestine is quiet.
It's the Twilight Zone. It's like living on this movie set, this fantasy world.
But behind the scenes, a much bigger scandal is still unfolding.
Every one of these little stories in of itself is shocking, but the totality of it, like, we have been stabbed in the back by everyone.
Do you feel like Norfolk Southern paid as big a price as you did?
You got to be outside your mind. You must be outside your mind.
I wish there was one smoking gun here. The problem is with East Palestine, there's about 30 smoking guns.
There are no accidents. This derailment was 100% preventable.
I'm a Trump supporter. He needs to make this right. He has the ability, the opportunity to.
We lived right over here in this house in the bottom. I brought my daughter home from the hospital here. It was our little piece of country in the middle of the city.
Jamie Wallace had plans of raising her daughter in East Palestine.
Every single happy moment in my life was spent right here in this town.
But on February 3rd, 2023, all of that changed.
50 train cars derailed, causing a massive fire.
5 of the cars that derailed were carrying vinyl chloride.
That's all the poisonous gas just leaving our town.
When I saw that big mushroom cloud, it was like just that big dark cloud over the whole community.
That mushroom cloud was the result of a controlled detonation carried out by the railroad company Norfolk Southern. 1 million pounds of toxic vinyl chloride were burned, released into the air, and spread across 16 states.
What really sticks in your mind about that whole experience?
The fear, the panic, the not knowing.
But just 2 days later, residents were told that it was safe to return home.
The EPA was saying everything was fine, and as soon as I pulled in this driveway, you can see it runs along the creek. I get out of my car, can't breathe, coughing, skin's on fire. I look over at this creek here, and this is Sulphur Run, the most contaminated creek in town. And instantly I knew something wasn't right.
Jamie didn't stick around much longer. She took her daughter to a rental outside of town. But most residents did stay, trusting state officials who said that it was safe.
When you heard that at the time, did you believe it?
Yeah,
what was
absolutely. Yeah. It's their government. They're not going to lie to us. Why would they put us in danger?
Chris Albright lives with family a half-mile away from the tracks.
The night it happened.
And which window?
Look right out this window.
Just 2 weeks after the derailment, his symptoms started setting in.
I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk from here to the door without stopping.
Chris had been healthy and active his whole life. But by the middle of March, he was diagnosed with severe heart failure.
I really thought that I was going to be dead soon. I really thought I was going to be dead. With my health condition, like, there was no way I could stay in the house. There was absolutely no way.
So he and his family packed up and moved to a hotel outside of town.
We had one room. That's what we lived in for 4 months.
How did it come to an end? Was it safe to go back or something, or when did you move?
We ran out of money. When we left there, I had $40 in my savings account. $40. I'm still suffering health effects, and they want me to go back to this house that I know is not safe to go back to.
To this day, the EPA and the state of Ohio still claim that East Palestine is safe. But in just the last 2 years, hundreds of residents have reported getting sick.
Look at my eyes. I look crazy.
My skin has been red like a lobster.
Federal workers actually got sick while they were surveying in East Palestine after that derailment.
They showed symptoms similar to what other people have been talking about.
I've been diagnosed with asthma. I have periodontal disease and my teeth are falling out. And that's just what I know of.
We sort of heard the messaging that everything was fine at the same time that people were reporting they were sick. And we thought, we've seen this movie before.
That's Dr. Beatrice Gollum, a professor of medicine at University of California, San Diego. She's currently conducting a large-scale health study in East Palestine.
I think where claims have been made that residents are all safe, it's been based on a lot of presumptions. The safety for many of those chemicals is simply not known. There's often no or very limited human testing.
And even if it is true that East Palestine is now safe, that doesn't erase the toxic exposure that already took place.
I think there's often a misunderstanding that when the toxin goes away, the injury goes away. But when the hammer that hit a person's head goes away, the problem from that doesn't go away.
Look at 9/11. It took how many years before their illnesses started showing up? And when they say no one died yet.
Dr. Gollum's study is still ongoing, and it could be years before residents know the full effects of the toxic plume that engulfed their town. But there is one thing we do know, thanks to a recent investigation into Norfolk Southern, which revealed that all of this was unnecessary.
They lied. We didn't need to blow those trains up. They lied.
They were making this pitch that an explosion was inevitable, but the science of this proves otherwise.
Jared Cassidy is the safety lead for the largest rail union in the country, and he was part of a major federal investigation into Norfolk Southern's crucial decision to conduct a vent and burn.
When you look at what took place in East Palestine, we have cars on fire, a derailment that has caused catastrophe across an entire community. And so now we have the commodity, the oxyvinyl, that's starting to heat up. It's becoming unstable. The railroads call into the war room all of the major players that are part of the emergency response, which did include the governor, it did include state police, it include the volunteer fire chief. And the railroads make the pitch that, look, this is the situation. The temperatures are rising. We believe that polymerization is imminent, and the best course of action is to do a vent and burn. But outside of the room is oxyvinyls, the actual producer of the commodity, the one that understands the volatility and all of the reactions that can take place. And they're not being allowed a meaningful voice into the conversation. And so the railroads just keep pushing this, hey, it's in trouble, it's in trouble, it's in trouble. And ultimately, it's the volunteer fire chief is the one that makes the decision. But because he's out of his lane, he's relying on the railroad's information.
We were told based upon the conditions at hand, in order to do it that day, we had 13 minutes.
And so the folks that are responsible theoretically for the decision-making don't have the education or the information they need to properly consider what's being thrown at them. And they rely on the railroads that, hey, they're telling me the truth. And unfortunately, while they're making these decisions, the temperatures of the cars are actually starting to trend downward.
It's going down. Yeah, the line's going down.
It is going down. That is indicative of a commodity that's stabilizing. The fact is we were heading in a good direction. And they decided to do the vent and burn anyway.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to Chair Hamady for being here and for all your work.
In March of 2024, after a year-long investigation, the National Transportation Safety Board confirmed what many people had feared.
In order for polymerization to occur, which was Norfolk Southern and their contractors' justification for the vent and burn, you would have to have rapidly increasing temperatures and some sort of infusion of oxygen, neither of which occurred. Oxyvinyls was on scene. They believed polymerization was not occurring and there was no justification to do a vent and burn.
What you had was a railroad that was trying to rush the cleanup, trying to prioritize the movement of trains above all else. And so they manufactured a story that ultimately was proven to not be true.
There was another option. Let it cool down. It was cooling down.
When you look at the railroad industry, there's always something in the back of every decision they make. and that's a profit margin.
This is a really, really troubling set of circumstances. This town very well may have been poisoned to facilitate the rapid movement of freight.
I want a response from Norfolk Southern that we can look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We can be proud of how Norfolk Southern responded, but more importantly, the folks of East Palestine can be proud of how Norfolk Southern responded 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And we're on that path.
In the 2 years since the derailment, Norfolk Southern has promised to dedicate millions of dollars towards making it right in East Palestine.
They gave us the old train depot that's been sitting there dilapidated for years. I think they spent like $1 million allegedly to renovate it.
We had the street fair the 1 year. They paid for all the rides for everybody. Nobody had to pay anything.
But many of those promises have fallen short.
I made a commitment that we would set up a regional training facility, and today we kept our promise.
They were supposed to not only have the training center, but pay for like the upkeep of it and everything. That's completely gone.
East Palestine School District is the latest to sue Norfolk Southern.
A lawsuit claiming the railroad broke a $30 million promise to rebuild the athletic facilities and a wellness center.
But there was one promise that Norfolk Southern couldn't walk away from. A class action lawsuit which yielded a $600 million settlement for residents within 20 miles of the derailment.
That's a lot of money. It is. $600 million is a lot of money. Not when it's divided up and divvied up between how many people.
According to the settlement, anyone within 2 miles of the derailment can theoretically get up to $70,000 per household for property damage and up to $25,000 per person for health problems.
So you say $70,000 per household. Let's break that down. That's in the 1 to 2 mile zone. So my household of 4, that would have been $17,500 a piece. But wait, we were in a hotel for 6 months. They're deducting all that. We got to get zero.
Over 4 months in the hotel with food, we ran up over $35,000. We have to give that back. We might get $35,000.
Seems like a dumb question now, but is that enough?
That's not a drop in a bucket. $35,000 towards cancer treatment. Burn it. That's not going to do anything. Yeah. That's not going to do anything.
You ask people around town, not one person will say, oh, I took it because it's a good deal. They took it because they want to get out. I mean, you know the people that I know, some of them haven't had $1,000 in their bank account in their life.
$600 million is one of the largest settlements in Norfolk Southern's history. But the company expects most of those costs to be covered by their insurance. So the final cost will be a fraction of the annual revenue for the $62 billion company, which saw its stock fall on February 3rd, 2023, only to completely recover in the months that followed.
They wanted to get it done, shoved under the rug, shut us up, and move on.
They took away my hometown, and they walk around and they made money. What stops them from doing it again? Because it will happen again.
Basic question, are we any safer today than we were when the train derailed in East Palestine in February of 2023?
No, we're not. And we're not partly because Congress never passed the Railway Safety Act.
That's Sherrod Brown, the former senator from Ohio. In the wake of the derailment, he and J.D. Vance teamed up to draft what could have been a historic piece of legislation.
The Railway Safety Act would boost safety requirements for trains carrying hazardous materials.
It shouldn't take a train derailment for elected officials to put partisanship aside.
The disaster in East Palestine drew attention to an alarming fact. The railroad industry is extremely unregulated. Local officials don't even know about the contents of the trains that pass through their towns. And there are 3 major derailments, on average, every single day. Critics in the industry blame a practice known as Precision Scheduled Railroad, or PSR.
They're cutting these people down to the bone and forcing them to work to the absolute max. They're not letting them have adequate sick time or rest time. It's just trying to do more with less, and that's the bottom line of that.
PSR is all about moving trains from point A to point B with as few stops as possible. Over the years, that's resulted in larger trains.
You see these huge trains, they're bigger than you can imagine when they've jumped the track and are lying on their sides.
and smaller crews.
The railroads insisted they only need one person on a train, although they want two people in a cockpit if they're flying on their corporate plane. So there's more than a little hypocrisy there, but what else is new?
The Railway Safety Act was designed to eliminate many of these risks.
The Railway Safety Act would have made sure there are at least two people driving these trains. It would have required the railroads to notify communities when they were coming through with hazardous material.
But the railroad industry had a different plan. In just 1 year, the 5 largest carriers spent an estimated $17 million lobbying to block the bill. And they were successful. The Railway Safety Act never made it to the floor of Congress.
These guys are so effective that corporate lobbying, there was overwhelming support for this bill from the public.
I'm a Republican, and I worry that there has been a movement in my party in response to the legislation that I proposed that would not hold Norfolk Southern or the rail industry accountable.
Basically what they're saying is we don't feel like we should be a regulated industry. We should have the freedom to do whatever we want.
As mad as I am at Norfolk Southern, I think I'm more pissed at my government. I used to be proud to be an American. What hillbilly isn't? And now I'm not a proud American at all.
Yeah.
I'm a really pissed off, upset, betrayed, lied to American. And when you break my trust to the level of my child's life, that's my child's life. You know, what would you do?
On the second anniversary of the derailment, Jamie and Chris joined hundreds of other residents in filing a new lawsuit, claiming that Norfolk Southern, the EPA, and the CDC had all failed to protect them.
Every step of the way, we've had to fight. And that's what I learned. No one's going to fight for us. We have to fight for ourselves. Do you know how many politicians I've talked to and how many promised they were going to help? I didn't give a shit if you're Republican or Democrat. If you would talk to us, we talk to you. Fast forward, J.D. Vance gets elected vice president. I've heard from none of them. We're still sitting here sick. People are still suffering. And where is he? At this point, you see the corruption, the lies from every one of our agencies. Unless the president says we're going to make this right for these people, it'll never be, made right.
In February, Jamie wrote a letter to President Trump, calling on him to sign a major disaster declaration and to deliver universal health care for anyone in East Palestine who needs it.
I'm a Trump supporter, but he needs to make this right. Something needs to be done.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done. We went through Biden, who didn't do anything. This is your chance to come here and fix this.
When you get a minute, you're alone, what kind of sticks with you about all of this so far?
When I get a minute by myself, I'm not thinking about this. I'm not. I'm thinking about going golfing tomorrow. I'm thinking about fishing. I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about anything but this. Anything I can to not be a part of this anymore. There are times you need to step away for your own health, for your own sanity. You have to step away from it.
It's a lot of weight for anyone to carry. And for one person that I knew, it became too much.
I just don't trust their results. We're all ending up sick and they're telling us it's safe and everything's at a safe level.
I spoke with Courtney Miller after my last trip to East Palestine. We texted back and forth about how she was getting sick and wasn't getting the answers or the help that she needed. But we were never able to connect in person. That's because on August 21st, 2024, Courtney took her own life. We paid a visit to her home, which sits next to the tracks along the banks of Sulphur Run, one of the most impacted creeks in town.
I've spoken to Courtney's family. The wound is still too fresh for them to talk about on camera, but they gave me permission to quote their belief that Courtney's passing was 100% related to the derailment.
For the people of East Palestine, what happened on February 3rd, 2023, was a wound. One they may be dealing with for the rest of their lives. For Norfolk Southern, it was just another Friday.
You're from this area.
Yeah.
When someone first said sacrifice zone, well, what the hell is a sacrifice zone?
That's us.
Well, but we grew up here. Yeah. When it's all around you, I don't think you even notice it until you step outside the box and you look from the outside looking in.
There's railways all around this country. If you ever notice, they're not in like the rich part of towns. They're in our neighborhoods. They're in the working class neighborhoods.
There's an unwritten law of big business in America. If you have enough money, you can get away with almost anything. And if you don't have the money, well,
that one there was when my heart was bad. And that's just a reminder of what I've been through, what I've gone through, what I've beaten.
What does justice for East Palestine really look like for you? And how far are we away from that as we're standing right here at Ground Zero now?
You know, I don't know. I kept thinking we were getting closer to justice and accountability, but every time something comes out, it's more lies, more betrayal from our government. I know that I'll never be able to move back here again, but you still just pray that one day you might get your home back.
Hi, thanks for watching our video. If you like this story and you want more stories like this, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have stories that you want us to investigate, drop them in the comments below.